Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Baba Is You. We only have a couple of puzzles left outside of the Solitary Island, which is our victory lap. We're saving that as our victory lap, and I'm sure that I won't be horribly embarrassed by getting down there and finding out that I can't complete half of the puzzles. So, there are two puzzles left outside of the Solitary Island. One of them is a puzzle that we've spent a whole bunch of time on and I still have no idea what to do with, and we'll get to it. We'll deal with that problem when we get there. But this one, I was looking at, and I realized I don't think we've worked this on camera very much. Like, we definitely looked at it, but hopefully we can come at this with pretty fresh eyes and figure out what it's doing relatively quickly, fingers crossed. There's a non-zero possibility that this episode is not going to contain a whole lot of progress, so just managing expectations. Anyway, let's talk about this puzzle, where belt is shift. And text is fall and float, which is, when you just say it that way, sounds a little odd. Wall and cloud is stop, rocket is you, the star is defeat, and the dust is defeat and also dust. So no dust shenanigans. What do you think you are, Auriga? Okay, so this is an advanced version of a puzzle that we already finished, right? And in that puzzle, the solution was not the thing that it looked like. In that puzzle, what we did was we took some words from the left part of the puzzle and got them over to the right part, right? So that we could make dust is weak and moon is wind simultaneously and just walk through the dust. That looks like it's not going to be possible this time out. They've built us a high-walled bucket to prevent us from moving our words over. So what it initially looks like, let's examine these initial assumptions, because at this point, any puzzles that we haven't completed, especially as we're getting back into the earlier and earlier parts of the game, puzzles we haven't completed are unlikely to actually be difficult to execute, but rather they're going to be puzzles where the reason we haven't finished them yet is that I made a bad assumption somewhere along the way and we're still trying to stand on it. We built ourselves a faulty platform. So I think we're going to be a lot about examining our base assumptions for the rest of the series. And the game's mostly been about that anyway. So my base assumption here is that we got to make dust is weak, we got to retrieve that star, we got to star is push the star through the lower dust to clear a path for us to get to the moon, which must be win. But it's not the case that the moon is necessarily win. Do we have any other options? Dust is win doesn't work because dust is defeat, and we learned from the hand ice belt puzzle that thing is defeat and win does not make you win when you touch it. Yeah, so dust is win doesn't work, moon is win is available, star is win is not possible because there's no way to get words past the barrier, but even if there was, the star is also defeat. So there's a pretty small number of objects in the puzzle. Only moon can be win. Okay, so how do we manage this? How do we do this? Well, dust is weak is going to be a necessity then. If we must touch the moon, then the dust must be destroyed or pushed, but it can't be pushed because again, there's no way. Hold on, let me turn on the grid real quick. I just want to be absolutely certain that wall is as tall as I think it is. Yes, okay, the wall is 5 tiles tall. Even if we could somehow get all of our text stacked up against this wall, the stack would not be tall enough for us to have a thing to push over the top. And also, we can't even actually get it all stacked up against the wall, right? I could probably just play with the grid on, but I don't like it, so so we're not going to. Alright. So is it possible to use the text as a ram to push the star far enough past the belt? It's not going to be, right? Because there's no way to build the phrase star is push over here. We don't have enough space. We would have to, well, what if we did it the other way? Hold on. What if we no, that's not going to work. Hold on. What if we make the phrase star is push backwards up on this level? And then we assemble it in the proper order down here. I was a little surprised when the belt didn't move the word push, but right, the words is float. And then we need dust is weak. Actually, the best way to do this is probably... right? Alright, so dust is weak. We retrieve our star. Okay, so now we can... Right, text is fall. You know, I know that. Everything else we've done in the puzzle is reliant on text is fall being true. But, here we are. So... Also, even if this had worked, and Star's push had remained live, like, what's my play here? Because we can't, Moon is not win. And, you know, if we leave dust is weak so that we can destroy the dust, we can never get back out to make Moon is win. Alright. There's no way to make Moon is win and dust is weak simultaneously true, right? With text is fall and the area being built in the way that it's built, I believe that is the case. There is no way to make those statements simultaneously true. We cannot build a cross in the upper left. Yeah, we do have a little, like a little divot over here, but at best we could use that to... Actually, no, we can't use that for anything. Because there's no way to put a word in this position on account of text is fall. There's I think, a pretty obvious assumption that you're supposed to be pushing the text into this area. Let's remain conscious of the fact that we could push the text the other way instead. That's exactly the kind of assumption that gets you in trouble in Baba Is You. That said, the shape of this area isn't really meaningfully different. Like, it doesn't provide us with any additional use, except for the fact that we could, like, assemble a phrase and then break it by pushing it to the right and having one of the words fall out of it. I don't see how that could be useful, but I guess it's a thing we have available to us. But no, it seems like it is not possible for dust is weak and moon is win to be simultaneously true. So you need to make dust is weak long enough to break the dust, then you need moon is win to be true before you cross the belt, which means dust is weak must not be true at that time. I mean, it sure looks like the only way to do that is going to be somehow shoving the star far enough past the belt. But, okay, hold on a second. Maybe I should just leave the grid on. Yeah, okay. Even if we did somehow get the star down here, get the phrase star is push built behind it, and shove them all over, the star still wouldn't make contact with the dust until our ship had passed the belt. Right? Because we would make star... The best we could do is star is push with the star right here, and then to push it one further space to get the star to actually make contact with the dust, we would step on the belt and then be shoved over and then be trapped on this side, and we'd never be able to make moon as win. So that's not the solution. This puzzle is not about pushing the star through to the dust. At least not without figuring out some way to make moon as win first. What am I missing? There's no way for us to interfere with any of the existing rules, right? No, the wall is stop and it's on the other side of some walls, so... Yeah, this is really interesting, actually. Okay, what about... Star and dust are both defeat, so making either of them win doesn't do anything. We really do need it to be the case that moon is win. Now, it is worth noting that star is not star. If there was some way to carry text over, which there, again, isn't, but if there was, turning the star into a moon would certainly be helpful. Boy, am I 100% certain that there's no way to carry text. There's no way to sneak text over this wall. Because it kind of feels like that's the thing, right? Oh, the star's push. Hold on. Hold on. We can, in fact, create a thing that allows us to carry... Alright, let me play with that idea a little bit. How did I do this before? We go dust to the left. Let me retrieve my star. Let me go... Okay. If stars push, then we can use it to hold text. But I mean, this isn't really going to work, right? Because, like, let's say we... Because as soon as I push this to the right, weak is going to drop and then moon is going to drop with it. And there's no way to push them both simultaneously. I mean, I suppose it's worth noting that this doesn't solve the... Even if we could do this doesn't solve the puzzle. Star is moon by itself is not good enough. You would also have to be able to build moon as win. Okay, but you know what? There is a version of this that allows us to transport words over the thing. If we... how do I do it? The idea would be that you have the star, like, here. If you could get a word on top of the star and then go from beneath and push it upward. But I guess the only way for you to do that would be to build a set of words here. And once you've done that, there's no way for you to get below the star anymore. Alright, I'm right that there's no possible way to do this by pushing the star, right? Let me just triple check that assumption. Even if we could build stars push to the left of the star down here and push the whole thing through, which we can't, but even if we did, star is... Yeah, in order to get star is push star to break the dust. We would have to step on the belt, so we'd be trapped. So yeah, that's definitely not the solution. There's no solution to this puzzle, then, that doesn't involve transporting words across? Is that true? Is that necessarily the case? Gosh, I need more objects that are push. This is a real problem. So let's see here. We could, at most... Alright, well, if we leave the star here, and we build a tower of text 3 tiles tall... No, that's not going to work. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way for me to push a word on top of the star and then get underneath the star, and it really looks like the answer is no. Because if we build a tile of text, a tower of text, 2 tiles tall, I guess actually it doesn't even necessarily need to be. No, it does. It does. It needs to be at minimum this high because we have to be able to get under it and push it up. I was gonna say it doesn't have to be because we could put it down in the corner, push a word on top of it, and then I could just break star as push so that I could move into the star. But if I break star as push, in that situation, the text would just fall to the bottom. Okay, how about this? If we use the star... I don't know why I'm backing up, I can just push this out of here. If we use the star as a blocker down here, like say we build moon object star win, then dust is weak on top of it so that the star is holding the text up, then we can come over, we can push the phrase star is push over here. We can break it at our leisure, and when we break it, dust is weak will no longer be true and moon is win will be true. So we just do that after we've touched the dust down here somehow. And in fact, that's very doable, right? Because star is push in this position gives us enough room to sneak past, break this, then come back over here, push the phrase star is push one space and have it break, and then moon becomes win. Okay. How do we do that? Because we need star is push down here to be true, which we can't do with the way that we've built this. So we have to assemble it down there in the first place, I think. I think this is the solution. And notice, we got there by constructing a bunch of incorrect solutions, but learning a thing from each incorrect solution, which is like a very valuable idea. Okay, so we have to construct... Win has got to be all the way down there in that corner. I guess it's okay for me to make dust is weak right now, right? Yeah, it has to be, because we can't build dust is weak on top of the space before retrieving the star. So it must be okay for me to do this. I'm reasonably sure. We put the star right here. And then we have to be pretty careful about how we do this, because it's going to be really easy to lose resources. Right, win goes in this corner. Then the word moon goes in this corner. Then I think we're cool. Right? Is just drops on top of the star, and then the word dust gets shoved like that, and this is absolutely the solution. So we push this once, break you, come back. Look at that! That right there is like exactly how you want solving a puzzle to go. You want to have some ideas, have them turn out to be wrong, but from each one of them learn something, and then use the things you learned to create your second order solution, which is actually the correct one. I feel real good about that. Alright. This damn thing. I'm turning the grid back off. I can't think with all these lines, man. You know, there's a principle in Discordianism. I'm not going to get into it. Okay. So you've had a lot of false starts with this puzzle. Let's try to take it back to those base assumptions, because somewhere in there is what I'm screwing up. And this is a good real life lesson, by the way. This is not even a puzzle games thing. It's not just that there's probably flaws in your earlier assumptions. The most likely assumptions to be the source of the flaw are the ones you haven't spoken, the ones you haven't consciously recognized. So let's just take this all the way back down to the ground and talk it through. Skull is skull, and move and swap, Kiki is push, flag is win, Baba and text is melt. Right now the wall is hot, the wall could become stop. Now our assumption so far has been that we gotta use the words that we have access to right here to make the Kiki swap, to make the Kiki skull. When we make the Kiki skull, this Kiki breaks the skull is move and swap thing in 3 cycles. Our assumption has been that we have to use that stuff to make this Kiki swap some walls out of position so that we can go outside within 3 cycles of swapping. So far, that's been a very unproductive idea. How do we do this? What is the part of that that's like necessarily wrong? Okay, here's a good way to examine. Let's look at this the way we looked at the pushing star to the right with the text to the left of it. Is the thing we're talking about even possible? Where is the place where the skull could move 3 times and it would create an opening for us? Because if we cannot find such a place, then probably that's not the answer, right? And we do have this up command, which does complicate things slightly, because in theory we could do some kind of turn. Is it possible to execute a turn fast enough, though? Like, if we... Let's say we do whatever Kiki has pushed nonsense to get Kiki in the right position. We destroy push. If we were going to do Kiki is skull, then break Kiki is skull to make skull is up. No, there's no way to do that within 3 cycles. Even if we could do it, there's no way to do it within 3 cycles. We were talking about trying to use the skull... Trying to use the Kiki, once Kiki becomes the skull, using the skull to swap the text away from the wall so that we can make different things happen. We can move some of this text out and play with it in different orders, but again, we have that core problem of 3 cycles of swapping and then no way to get the swapping back. It looks to me, thinking about the puzzle in this way, it looks to me like there is no place where 3 cycles of swapping will create a hole. As we've talked about, in the narrow parts of the wall, like, the best we could possibly do is Kiki would have to swap the wall in one direction, then somehow come back to the other side of it and swap it in that direction again in order for it to create a big enough gap for us to get through. That looks like a thing that can't happen. Hopefully you all understand why I'm a little nervous about going, hey, that looks like a thing that can't happen if it's even the slightest bit complicated, because there have been lots of cases so far where I have thought a thing couldn't happen, and it turned out it could happen and I just wasn't seeing the method, so I'm a little nervous about those assumptions. But it looks like that's maybe not the solution. And boy oh boy, have we spent a lot of time banging our head against this puzzle trying to find a version of the solution that works that way. Okay, what parts of the puzzle don't we understand yet? Why is it possible to make the wall, or why is it ever desirable to make the wall stop? Why would we ever want to do that? What the wall accomplishes by being hot is, first of all, letting the Kiki, or the skull, or whatever through. Or sorry, letting the Kiki through or letting the skull through while it is not stop, because we know that while it is stop, it can still... Wait a minute. I might have just seen the solution. If we just push the Kiki to right here, and we make Wallace stop, and then I guess it wouldn't be right here. We'd want it to be a place where I'm right above it. So, like, hold on. I think that's the thing. What I'm thinking is... Oh, no, wait. I want the Kiki not on the wall yet. Here, okay. What I'm thinking is, we break Kiki's push now. This is probably not the solution, because it doesn't use the word up, but this is the thing I'm thinking. If we arrange the puzzle like this... Then we go and make the wall stop. If we make the puzzle like this, and then I push the word skull over, if we wait one frame, what's going to happen is the skull's going to swap that wall on top of Baba. Right now, that kills us, because the wall is hot. But if the wall was stop, I think that just creates a hole that we can leave through, right? Because we can move out of a thing that is stop. Oh, right. It does create a little bit of a problem with the... Well, if I just let the skull move once. Yeah. Yep, that was it. That was all that it was. That's a little embarrassing. I mean, like, I'm glad that I worked it out. But... Yeah. That's a great example of an assumption that had not gone very examined, ruining a bunch of other... Like, ruining the whole thing, despite the fact that we had spent a lot of time fiddling with our other assumptions. Because I had just assumed that the Kiki skull had to make us a way out, not that it had to just, like... That was less about the Kiki making us a hole, and more about the Kiki just, like, building a situation where I was already outside. It is weird, though, that that solution doesn't use the up at all. What is that up for? Is there a different solution here that you're supposed to... I mean, you could do... If you did the version of that where you put the Kiki... Okay, if you put the Kiki in the wall and then do Kiki is up, then the Kiki swaps you onto the wall instead of swapping the wall onto you, which is the same solution. Yeah, that's not really... There must be another solution that like, doesn't work without the up, I assume? Or maybe the up is, you know, maybe it's just a red herring. They do that sometimes. So, is that everything except the... It does appear to be everything except the solitary island. I think we're almost there. 219. The number I saw online was 226, if I'm not mistaken. We see 6 puzzles here to take us to 225. So it's possible that there's another 5-pip puzzle somewhere in here. But if not, we've missed some cleverly hidden puzzle in some other place. Well, I guess let's work these and we'll find out. Let's at least open up all the puzzles in here and see. Okay. So we're going to be looking at a lot of puzzles now that are probably not actually very complicated or difficult, but that we looked at and failed to see the solutions to at some point in the past. To some degree, this whole area is going to be a little embarrassing for me, and we're just going to have to, like, live inside of that, right? Alright. So, Skull is hot, Baba is you. We have the word win, and my assumption here is that Baba has to get down here, push the word win to the right, and then shove it up and make something win. And we have to be pretty careful about how we do it, because the only object in the puzzle that can be win is the bolt, so we have to make sure the bolt doesn't melt at any point during the puzzle. So right now, Skull is hot. We can make it so Skull is defeat to break Skull is hot. But then Skull has to also not be defeat because I have to move past some skulls. So obviously... I mean, we can have the bolt break Skull is hot. If we push the bolt up here, this is not that difficult, actually. It's going to have to be the case that bolt is move. I'm not seeing the difficult part of this puzzle for the moment. Because if we do this, then Skull is nothing, right? Is this a problem? No, what was the... Oh, right, this makes it impossible for me to make Bolton's win. I was going to say, how did I not see this solution? But yeah, this is not a solution, is how. I probably did see this. Alright, what else could we do? I mean... I don't need to, I can just break Skull is hot whenever I want, right? But I need I need the bolt to... Is this a timing thing? I have been historically bad at seeing the timing thing, so I can see how that might be the case. Like, what if we... Here, we'll give ourselves the maximum possible amount of time to benefit from the bolt becoming move. So, like, put this over here. So if I do bolt as move right now, the idea is I shove this over here, and then I wait for the bolt to come and free me, which it can now safely do. Yeah, that's totally it. That's all the puzzle is. I have a real problem. You've probably noticed, and it's come up a couple of times now, that the ice hand belt puzzle is a really good example. I have a real problem with figuring out that a puzzle involves timing, because I want to build these like they're programming. I want to build these like I'm writing a method in Java, where it needs to be able to run infinitely, and like once you build it, you step outside of it. You're not allowed to do stuff while it's executing. The fact that I view these puzzles so much as programming puzzles is definitely creating a problem, I think. And I'm not doing it consciously. It's just sort of how many years of computer science and software engineering will train your stupid human brain to think. It's a real useful way of thinking. A lot of the time. Clearly not all of the time. Alright, new puzzle. Let's check it out. Assembly team. Flag is win. We need the Baba to be you. Right now, the robots is you. And that's... Wait, what's the problem here? Because the waters sink, but we can very easily just... Okay, I see it. So I was going to say, we could just sacrifice a robot, and it becomes very easy to push the thing across. But right, the core problem is that the robots are in the same column, and any attempt to sacrifice a robot, in fact, sacrifices all robots. So we need to figure out a way to make that not true. It would be pretty easy to make it not true by pressing the word Baba up against the left wall and using it to... pressing a robot against it. But obviously, that's a bad idea, because then we will not be able to retrieve it to use it to make the phrase. So we just gotta desync the horizontal... We gotta desync the column position of these robots. Somehow. Without trapping the word Baba in a position where we can't use it. It's not 100% trivial, actually. The robots are stopped, so we can use them as collision blockers for each other. Well, you know what? Actually, it's fine to push the Baba against the wall, because we can just go and bring the other words to it. We don't have to bring it over. Yeah, that right there is an assumption I made, because we usually move things to other things instead of bringing things from a place back to where we started, and also because the is you, the sentence was more complete on this side of the river than it was on the other side of the river. Alright, we've seen this one before, but this is the next. You know what? Let's look at the new one first, before I get myself back into puzzles that we had not yet completed. Okay. Baba is you, Kiki, push, wall is stop. Huh. Well, this seems like an issue. So we had to get outside the wall somehow. We had to break wall is stop. Right? There's no other way to do this. We can't make wall is push. How would we get outside the walls? We had to... Oh, you have to push. Okay. Kiki is push. This is one of those things where you got to get the wall on top of a thing and then move the thing, or you got to get the words on top of a thing. So we do like this, then break Kiki is push, and then make Kiki is you. Right? Look at that, a technique that we have honed over many puzzles. That was apparently supposed to be taught to us here, and we just never got to the puzzle that would have served as the tutorial. I think that's a lesson... there we go. We needed one additional puzzle, and there it is. That's a lesson that we had to learn by accident, by having multiple bodies and accidentally wiggling them under text, I believe, which is a less elegant way to learn the thing. Okay, so this time we don't have a push. But we do have an extra... We can just have the objects both be us the whole time, which is actually kind of an easier solution. But again, this is only an easier solution because it relies on information we already know from other puzzles. Right, we just give them the classic wiggle. Although I suppose that was kind of an inefficient way to do that, because now we want to rebuild wall is. I should have just done it the way I did the last one. Yeah, a puzzle 100% trivial because we failed to solve it here and had to accidentally solve it somewhere far deeper in the game and then come back with the knowledge. Alright, catch the thief. This is one that I feel like shouldn't be that hard, and I'm almost certain that I had solved this puzzle the last time I played the game. Like, I definitely got past the solitary island when I played the game on release. So I'm a little bummed out. That I hadn't figured this out yet. Okay. First of all, is it 100% necessary that we push this? Yes, it is. There is no way to stop the robot from touching this fast enough to make that not true. At least that's, I believe that to be the case right now. Alright. Wait, why is this difficult? Isn't this just robot is, like, just wait for the robot to... Oh, hold on, I have to... Is this one where I just, like, looked right past the solution? That's gonna happen, you know. Is this the solution? I think it might be. Because you just push the word win up here and then... Well, maybe not. Because now I don't really actually have a way of creating a win statement that works here, do I? Right, let's get both of my bodies out here. I guess... Okay. Because we have two bodies, we can still solve this. If we just put the win down here... I guess I didn't really need two bodies for that. I mean, I needed two bodies to have an object that could be win. Yep, that's one where, like, the solution's pretty straightforward, and I must have just looked right past it because I was trying to do something complicated with the move keyword. Be aware of that. That's a thing that you do all the time. You just look right past simple stuff. It's just like a thing people do. But people on the internet are weirdly shitty about it when they see someone else do it, I think, because they don't recognize that it's a thing they themselves do all the time. Alright, so water is sink, water is hot, the cog is push and melt. And we, for some reason, care about all of this. The skull is defeat. In order to make flag is win, we're going to have to construct a way for us to push this word over by pushing stuff across the skulls, but... Is there not a way for me to break... Like, okay. When I look at this, my initial assumption is, oh, I'll just sink a word in the water, and then we'll have the cog, and we can come and... Right, sorry. We can come and push the cog across. But doing that isn't actually helpful, because we lose an object by sinking something in the water to gain an object. We end up with the same 3 objects to use for pushing, which is not enough. We need a 4th object. Now, obviously, we can just break water as sink, but we still can't push the cog across the water because of the melt hot. You know, that good old melt hot. So what is the thing we are supposed to be doing here? How do we have 4 objects? We can't mess with the flag. We can't afford the flag any kind of qualities. We can assign qualities to the cog, but the only quality we can assign is sink, which is not helpful. We don't have... We could redefine stuff. We could redefine the cog as water. That's not super helpful. We can make the flag water. Also, not that helpful. Why must this water be hot, I ask you? We can't make the skull sink, and even if we could, it wouldn't matter. Because we still have the core issue where we're just short an object. If we We can't push the flag. Well, I can see why I didn't immediately solve this, because I'm probably I was doing exactly what I'm doing right now. Okay. We need 4 pushable... What it looks like is we need 4 pushable objects, we build them in a line right here, and then we shove them, and it makes flag is win happen. We have 4 pushable objects right now, but we can't get the cog to the position it needs to be in without disabling water is hot or cog is melt somehow. We can't sync any of the words. Well, hold on. Is there a way to use... Can we... If the cog is sync and also push, can't I use it? Can I use it to destroy text? No, because the text is also push. Right, I can't execute the last part of the shove. That was like a reasonable idea though, right? That would have been pretty good. Yo, we can do. Take this flag. Yeah, got him. Alright, Is sync doesn't seem to be terribly useful. Aside from that. Because skull is defeat is sync doesn't work, right? That construction is nonsense. Cog, why must you be melt? Who built this cog and why? Who would construct a cog in this way? We can't break skull as defeat. We have very few options here. This is one of those ones where I should be able to figure this out just through process of elimination, because there are so few options. So we can do water is sync. We can do flag is sync. That seems pretty bad. Water is flag. Again, pretty bad. Cog is sync doesn't seem like it does anything except allow me to destroy some water. Again, not actually helpful. Water is water. Water is wall is pretty bad. Water is skull is not super helpful. Right, because I'm not going to be able to push the cog across from the other side because I'll get stuck over there because skull. I mean, we could get the cog across, don't get me wrong. I would be stuck. We could do... I mean, we sure could make water is hot. That would be helpful. I'm sure this one's very simple, both in terms of there not being a lot of objects to play with and not a lot of rules to change, and also in terms of it being a very early game puzzle, but I am definitely not seeing it. Okay. So they start you with water is sync, with the intention of making you think... I mean, it's almost certainly the case that the intention is you go, oh, water is sync, so I'll push a word into the river to make a spot where the cog can come across. That's obviously not what you are actually supposed to do. And presumably you would note that as soon as you break water is sync by sinking one of the words in the water, you've achieved the same thing that you would have achieved by just pushing the word sync one space to the right. But then it still remains a little bit of an actual issue. Grrr. The flag is win. We did it, everybody. We made the flag win. Baba can't be changed to anything. The flag can be made sync. The flag can be made water. Both of those are detrimental. The cog could be made water, also pretty detrimental. Unless we figure out a way to do water as push or something, which we cannot. Water is defeat. It's fundamentally unhelpful. Water is stop. Pretty unhelpful. Water is wall. Also pretty unhelpful. Unless we can figure out a way to make wall no longer stop, which we cannot. Well, it happened. I got stumped by our victory lap. I was actually feeling pretty good for a while there, because we were really tearing through it, huh? Okay. Cog is sink is bad. Stupid text all having collision. Alright, we're going to step out of it and come back, because I'm getting a little sad about the fact that it should be a really easy puzzle and I'm not getting it. Okay, this one. I remember this one. So, the trick here... Baba is you and open, water is stop and shut. We have to open up 2 spaces in that water to get the win out, or we have to open up just this space and have a phrase that we can just push in there, I guess. But that's going to be kind of tricky because we only have one is. So the win, like even if we did open up this, we do have to open up a second space somewhere because we have to push the word win over to here in order for there to be something is you and also something else is win. So we do have to open up 2 spaces on this no matter what. And the way we're going to accomplish that is by using 2 of these objects. And basically the idea is you want to turn all 3 of your objects into one thing, right? How do we do that? Alright, let's make... I mean, this is fine. We just... Sorry, that's a problem. Now it's fine. Alright, and then you could make flag is you. And that gives us at least a little bit more of an ability to play around in the space here. So we still don't have the ability to sacrifice 2 bodies while maintaining control of 1 body. But it's a start. Right, so now we can make a hole. There is no way to do this with just 1 hole in the moat. There has to be 2 holes in the moat, right? So if we were to make a hole in the bottom wall, we have to be able to come above and push the wind down through it. So yeah, we would need to open up both of these, or like open up opposite sides. Or there's no way. If this here didn't exist, it would be possible to do this with just 1 hole, because you could come up, walk around, and shove that over. But the way it's actually constructed, I'm pretty sure you do in fact need 2 gaps here. Okay, so maybe this is a 2 bodies. You're using 1 of them to create a hole while you are swapping control to the... No, because that doesn't... The things we are sacrificing have to be us. There's no way to move objects, except for them being you. So how would we make it so we're in control of all 3 objects? It would seem that you have to do Baba is flag at the same time that you do Baba is you or something like that, but that's plainly impossible because there's only 1 is. Unless there's some kind of text shenanigans. Is there a way with the tools we have here to stack text? Because, you know, if we could just make Baba is you, if we just make Baba flag is you, that would certainly solve it. Okay, what if we use the and somehow? if we... Let's peel some of these words back off. I just spent some time putting them on, but okay. If we're like... Baba and... Well, I mean, we can do Baba and flag as you, obviously, but that's not super helpful, because we need them to be open. Baba and flag is... Ugh. Boy, how do we do this? Baba is... We can make the key as a... We can make key flag. This is really tough because we don't have enough words for any of the solutions that are popping into my head. Alright, you know what? I am committed to solving this episode. We are going to get this done, but I am feeling a little bit stuck at that frustrated feeling coming on. So I'm going to take a little break. And I will come back and we will get these. Okay, I'm back. I took a little break. I made some corn muffin mix and I put some corn muffins in the oven. So we're gonna have to take another little break here if I don't get this done in about 20 minutes. But it's fine. We're gonna get there. I sort of built in if I get frustrated again. I built in another reason for me to take a break and clear my head again. Okay. So, let's take it back to our base assumptions here. I'm assuming that we need to dig the word win out of the water, and that doing so is going to require us to create at least 2 breaks in the water. I'm like 100% confident of that last part. We definitely cannot get the word win out of there with only 1 break in the water. The question is that other assumption solid? Because the thing I think we're realizing, or at least the thing I think might be the case, is that it's actually impossible. Here's the thing. It feels pretty impossible to me. It feels like we would have to make 3 bodies. It feels like we'd have to make all 3 objects the same thing, because we need them to be U and open. And we can only make the objects U and open if they're all the same thing because of our very small number of connecting words. But I can't tell, this is one of those situations where I can't tell if that seems impossible because it is impossible, or if it seems impossible because I can't figure it out. It's not nearly as clear-cut as the star pushing thing from the beginning of the episode, unfortunately. Alright, let's take one more crack at it. I mean, if it's... Okay. If it wasn't possible, what else would we do? We can't make an X is win phrase, because we only have the one is, which is proving to be a persistent issue. If we... But there's just no way to make all 3 of the objects the same, right? With the very small number of words that we have, we cannot make all 3 of the objects both the same and U. And there's no way that we could, you can't like push the is out of is you and make something win and like something has to be you. Well, you know, I to some degree, I warned myself that we might get a little stymied during what was supposed to be our quote-unquote victory lap. But also, did I warn myself, or did I will this into being with my pessimism? Because that's how reality works, right? If we... Let me... Alright. We're going to shake this one off and go back to the other one. I knew this was going to be a problem as we got toward the end. As we lose the ability to go do something else because there's very few something else's to do. This is just going to get... me getting stuck is going to get worse and worse. Okay, let's take it back to the assumptions on this one. Flag is win. The word flag definitely has to get pushed to the left, right? There's no other way that we can make anything in this puzzle win. Okay, solid. That seems right. We would need 4 objects to create a chain of pushable objects through the skulls. We have, at the moment, 4 pushable objects, but there's no way to get the cog across the river without sacrificing one of the other objects, which obviously causes some issues. So, if that seems to really be the case, and it really does, then the solution is not push a chain of 4 objects through this thing. It's some other solution. So we have a bunch of words. We have a bunch of places that we can plug in our existing words here, right? They've left rules available around the edge of the puzzle for a reason. We had to figure out which of these is actually meaningful. So we can't transform the water into anything useful, right? We could do water is wall, which obviously is a real problem. Water is skull, which lets us get the cog pushed through, but doesn't let us get back through. Water is water, does nothing. Cog is water, is not helpful. That just deletes one of our objects. And the water is not interactable in any meaningful way. Flag is sink, doesn't do anything. We need the flag. It's pretty important the flag not be sink. Cog is sink would, in theory, allow us to destroy because the cog is push, cog is sink allows us to destroy one object of our choice. Yep, okay, I see it. I got it. Did everybody else get it? Everybody else probably got it before I did. So we do have to use the water as sink, because we do have to be able to get the cog across this hot river. Oh no, sorry. We have to destroy the word water. I need the is sink for my definition. With cog as push and sink. Oh, right. Here, we'll do it like this. There we go. Let's get the cog out of the way. Alright. With cog as sink, we get to remove one object of our choice. And for some reason, when I was thinking about using the cog to sink skulls, I was initially thinking, well, we're pushing from this side, right? So, like, get rid of the closest skull to the way we're pushing. But we're not trying to push the objects. We're not trying to push a chain of objects through. If we can remove any one object, we remove this object. That's one of those weird unspoken assumption things my brain did, where it was just like, well, if we use the cog to remove a skull, obviously this is the skull we would remove. But why? But why would that be the skull that we remove? Okay, we're almost there. Now just this one puzzle that I really can't figure out. And that's got us 225? It has indeed. Okay. Here we go. Alright. From the ground. Water is stop and shut. Baba is you and open. And that's it. We need to open the water. But it seems like it's impossible to open enough of the water. So if it's impossible to open enough of the water, let's just do the same thing we did in the last puzzle, do the same thing we did in the first puzzle of this episode. If it is impossible to open 2 spaces in the water, which it seems like it is, how do we solve the puzzle? What is the solution if that initial assumption turns out to be impossible? If we can make exactly one hole in the water, we can do... There are 2 possibilities. We can move the word win around, which is not super helpful, or we can build words in here such that we make a statement that ends with win. But we can't move the is. But that's actually fine. We can do X is Y and win. We have exactly enough. I'd like to thank my corn muffins. Something about mixing the batter for corn muffins apparently has really ungunked my brain. So wait, how do we do this? We do have to still make a hole. So we have to do... I think we still want to turn one object into another object. So we do like key is I should move this. We do like key is flag. Then flag is U and open. Make a hole right here, and then it's like it has to be and Baba is open and win. And we end the final puzzle by bringing the flag to the Baba, which feels very dramatically appropriate. And hey, I don't even have to pull my corn muffins out of the oven for like another 5 minutes. We did it. And that's an achievement, and I believe that's the actual ending. I think... Y'all, we beat Baba Is You, and I didn't even have to go and look up any solutions on the internet. I did have to embarrass myself a bunch of times in front of strangers. But, you know, that's just life. Especially life publishing videos on the internet. I feel really good about this. I'm super pleased that we managed to get this whole messy thing done, and look how pretty it is. And you know what? I made jokes about how finishing the puzzle finishing the series on the Solitary Island was going to be funny because it's anticlimactic, but it actually is really appropriate that the last batch of puzzles that we did were all puzzles about looking at the puzzle, intuitively coming up with a solution, discovering that solution was definitely wrong, and then having to build a real solution through actual logic, rather than just looking at it and immediately conceptually grasping it, having to actually figure it out in the most hands-on, down and gritty sense of that. I'm really pleased with that as an ending. I'm also, if I'm being honest, I had a really good time here, but I'm also really glad it's over because it's a lot of pressure, dude. That is going to be it for us for today and for the series. And I talked a couple of times during the series about enjoying this, and I did enjoy this, to be clear, and wanting to do more puzzle game stuff in the future, and we totally probably will, but also not right away. I need to play some simpler games for a little bit, some games that are a little bit less pressure. Thank you all so much for watching. Any of you who made it through to the end of this, you're a goddamn hero. I mean, I'm trying not to be self-deprecating, but to some extent, I make content that's a little slower paced than a lot of people on the internet, a little bit less moment-to-moment exciting, and to a certain extent, I'm always a little surprised at the fact that people are interested in watching it, despite the fact that it's exactly the kind of content that I like to watch, which is, it's just me discounting my own taste or something. I don't know what's going on with that. But really, for real, thank everybody who got to the end of this. Thank you all for being supportive and stuff. Like I said, I have not read the comments past the first couple of episodes, so I will probably go back and do some of that now. Eventually, maybe. For right now, I'm gonna go make muffins. I gotta stop talking because I gotta go look at these muffins. So, thank you all so much for watching. Come back next time, tomorrow, when we start a new thing. Some kind of new thing. I don't even know what yet. It'll be a great big surprise to everybody. Won't that be fun? And we'll see you then.